As we all know, words matter. Words impact and make a difference. We are called in Hebrew medaber, which means communicators. Communication allows us to connect to another, not just to connect, but to make an impact on another. And through that connection or through that impact, deepening the bond. Imagine having every communication that you have with another person being mindful of this notion that the whole purpose of this communication is to connect and to deepen the connection through an impact. Of course, a positive impact to be made. Not to glorify yourself through that impact, but to connect to the other through the impact for the sake of the connection itself, because of the bond that there is that you have with that other individual. To do that is truly to be human. And that's why the word for human in Hebrew is medaber, communicator, a speaker, speaking the word. Welcome to Tanya Today. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Zurich and Kadesh in Montreal, Canada, where it's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. We continue in the fifth letter, speaking about the ultimate impact that God makes. I don't know if it's the ultimate, if that's the right term, but the impact that it makes in the fact of creation. So we spoke that the spiritual world is created not by a word. It ultimately expresses it in many words, of course. But it begins with one letter, the letter Yud. So we explained at length. The spiritual worlds, yeah, including Gan Eden, the Garden of Eden. And then he creates this world with the letter Hey. As we explained in speech, there's two components in speech. The two components are the articulation and the breath. Form is the articulation, breath is the matter of speech. The material matter of this world comes from the Hey. Why the letter Hey? Because Hey, when you pronounce it, when you use it in a word, it's just breath, right? If it has a vowel under it, so then that's the vowel that you're pronouncing. But the letter itself is just breath, right? And breath is insubstantial letter, so to speak. It's the matter. It's the breath of speech, not the articulation, and not as much pronounced, at least. And this material world that is more of matter than it is of form, the spiritual is more of form, less matter. This physical is more matter and less form. Now, of course, you need both things in speech, but what is the essence of this world is created through the letter Hey. Now, just to give an appreciation of what that means, it means take a metaphor of a great sage, a holy person, a learned great scholar. And just think about everything they know. The Rebbe, yeah, or our teacher, the Alter Rebbe, right? It takes all of that teachings, all of that wisdom, and he brings it down into a single letter, right? Brings it into a single letter. Single letter of his speech. Imagine the great contraction, descent of all of that wondrous wisdom. Whoa. Brings it all into one letter. It's a lot to unfold from one letter, right? Well, that's exactly what God does, but infinitely more so than that sage, taking all of his divine wisdom, right, contracting upon it infinitely, which he did during the 6 days, and he made the heavens by the word of God with that one letter, the letter Hey, in the 6 days of creation. And as we said, the letter Hey, because it expresses matter, the breath, right, as opposed to form, which is when you say the letter, right? I just said the letter Hey with form, with no breath, and you just had the form of my lips and how my teeth, tongue, and everything, interacted. But it didn't get verbalized. There was no otherness there because no otherness heard it. It's in this world, there's a sense of otherness because it comes from that breath that comes out, right? Just as the breath comes out, so the word comes, the letter comes out. As opposed to when you just have form, it stays within the speaker. And therefore the spiritual worlds are created with the form of speech, right? The 22 letters of their form that don't come out, and meaning the resultant of that, the metaphor in that is that it creates souls and angels that don't sense that they are separate from God, independent from God. They sense their connection to God. Right? And this is what it says written when in Genesis, it says, Behi Baram, which literally means when he created them. But our sages say they take away they take apart the word Behe Baram. With a hey, he created them, as we just explained, right? Hey, the letter hey, that one letter, God contracts upon his infinite being, infinite wisdom, contracts upon it too, this one letter, and it becomes the source of all of this creation. Now, how is that expressed in Genesis? It's expressed with the word Bereshis. Bereshis means in the beginning. That very word that God spoke, right, created everything. Which is interesting, by the way, just a side note, that all of the world was created with one letter, with one word expressed. Hey, Bereshis. And in that, everything. If you look at the rest of the days of creation, God just placed them in a position. But it was all there right at the beginning, which is similar to what science actually says today, right? Science isn't saying about the source of where it all came in a confused state, right? In a soup mix. So the world was a complete soup mix. In any case, so Bereshis is also identical with the idea, because Bereshis means the beginning. Well, what's the beginning? What does it mean, beginning? Well, in the beginning in God, in godliness, is Chachma. It's the first level of the divine attributes, the first of the 10. Well, there are 10 sayings, 10 statements that God made to create the world, beginning with Bereshis, which is Chachma, which is the seed, right? The mustard seed that all began, if you will. And from there it descends into the 9 other creative utterances, until, right? Bina, Das, Chesed, Gvur, Tiferet, Netzach, Hod, Yesod, and finally to Malchus, which is the 10th. That's an intense degree of contraction, right? Now, what's key, which will only start this thought right now, is this was all initiated by God. Now, this creation in the beginning was all initiated by God, right? Not by us, because we weren't here. We weren't here to serve, right? Because what does it say when Adam was created, right? What was he created for? Lavda, to serve, right? To serve in the garden, to serve God in the garden. That's what he was created for. But he wasn't yet created in the beginning. He's the last thing to be, right? Which means then what precipitated creation? Not Adam, not you and I, but God's desire to act with kindness. Why? Because he builds the world through kindness. And that's the other explanation, ties in with Behibaram. Right? Behibaram, what did we say it was? Behibaram, with the hay, he created the world, right? Which expresses itself in Genesis with the word Bereshis. That God created. But that word also, Behibaram, also spells Ba'avraham, with Abraham. What, did he create with the hay or did he create with Abraham? He created the world with hay, but what caused him to create the world is like Abraham. Well, who's Abraham? Not because Abraham was going to come. That's not, I mean, actually, yes, but let's leave that out for now. No, like Abraham. Who's Abraham? Who is it? He is an embodiment of kindness. So God creates the world motivated by his kindness. In other words, not precipitated because we did something. Because of God's kindness, period. He creates with the hay this world. Without, right? God contracts upon his infinite being, one letter, right? Again, imagine you hear from the Alter Rebbe one letter. You hear from the Rebbe one letter. Now, hidden, vested in that one letter is, whoa, so much to unravel. And maybe with that, we can understand what it means to discover in God's world his wisdom, to discover in God's Torah his wisdom. It's all there in shorthand. We have to elongate it. How we do that, the elongating, and what that means will be in tomorrow's class, the end of this chapter, which of course we do on Sunday. Very powerful. I hope that was clear to everyone. Any questions? All right. All right, I guess there's some clarity. All right, amazing. All right, we're going to do Rambam. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Zich in Kadesh in Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. An amazing, great day and a good